RCG. Welcome to the Power of Connection. I am so happy to have you here today, Pauline. Um, you know, it's a funny thing that we just talked about. Whenever I know I'm going to have anybody on the show, I try not to know too much extra stuff about them because I think it just muddies the conversation. So I'm going to ask Pauline to introduce herself. We have been connected by some dear friends and even more dear friends coming very soon.
Yes.
Pauline does some very special things, so please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Well, thank you, Christina, and thank you so much for having me today.
It's our pleasure.
It's really an honor. So, oh boy, how do I describe myself? My goodness, a woman 1st,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and a healer, an energy healer, a master healer, and a channel, and someone who's been in a private energy practice for over 20 years. I'm a pioneer in the area of energy healing, that is the mind-body connection. And I've had quite a journey getting here, okay? It doesn't happen overnight, like so well. We go through crisis after crisis after crisis until we wake up. And so I was taken out of corporate America as a human resource professional and guided into becoming a healer. And the reason is because I was healed through energy healing. And so it was a path that the universe, God, had for me. And, I couldn't not do it. It was that feeling inside that I absolutely had to do it. And so that's what I've been doing for well over 20 years. So I've been on this path for over 30. And, what I do is help people connect with their mind, body, and their soul, their spirit, right? To take back their power, to heal the traumas, to become whole again, to remember because you were created to be whole. And I am the author of my new book, The Little Blue Room. Awakening the soul to love, joy, freedom, and power. And the little blue room is where many miracles took place.
So, there's so many questions that I have. And there's we have people that come here that have written books, and we've met people that tell their story. However, yours is so unique.
Mm-hmm.
How did you know when you were in corporate America that you had to do this?
I do write a little bit about that.
Yeah.
I surrendered my life to God because I was trying to live the normal life, all right, with the white picket fence and the way we're all supposed to be living to be happy, and it wasn't working. And when my first big crisis was, a divorce and a loss of my father, I just kind of threw my hands up and I said, you know what, God, I don't know how to do this. So show me the way. And when I was guided to go back to college to finish my degree, I started to become what we call clairaudient. In other words, I began to hear the voice of spirit. My spirit guides, my deceased father, and God. And I began to hear it.
Did you think you were nuts?
I did not think I was nuts, only because I've been doing tarot since I'm about 16.
Okay.
So I believed in the metaphysical world. I believed in the afterlife. It wasn't new to me, but I hadn't had any mystical experiences. And I was sitting at my desk. I was a recruiter, all right, for John Hancock, and working my way up. And all of a sudden, I heard the voice. And it said, quit your job. And I actually turned around to look behind me to see if somebody was talking to me. There was no one there. And so I just dismissed it. I dismissed it as, okay, I must be hearing things.
Right.
And about a week later, the voice came again, but stronger. And I was like, okay. I got up out of my desk and walked into my boss's office, and I said, well, I'm giving you my 2 weeks' notice. And he was like, what? What are you doing? And I was like, I don't really know, but that's what I have to do. It wasn't me speaking. It was like my higher self. It was like
Yeah.
my soul. And I left my job, and that's when everything changed.
That's amazing. But you knew enough to have faith in this.
I did, but that's because I have been reading about spirit, because I believe in it, because my father had come to me in dreams, my deceased father had come to me in dreams. And, I don't think I'm so special because of that, because I know this is an ability that we all have. It's just a matter of saying, okay, I'm not going to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
And we can all be so guided. Now, everybody's guided by their intuition, by their urge. You've had urges. You know what you have to do. That's no different than
Yes.
hearing a spirit or God say to you, Christina, I want you over here making a difference. You didn't need to hear that.
No.
You heard it through your feeling, through your
Yes.
intuition. And I just did it. I can't really tell you how. I just did. But one of the things I did have was a very supportive husband. So I knew I wasn't going to be, sinking.
Yeah. We're going to be out on the
I wasn't going to be
sidewalk.
out on the street. Yes. But I had been healed by a healer. I had been through the medical community for a lot of physical illnesses, and I wasn't getting better. And there's a miraculous story on how this healer came into my life and healed me, and then one day said to me, you're a healer. And I said, no, I'm climbing the ladder to become a human resource director. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm really good at what I'm doing. And she was like, okay. But no. So I'm doing my soul's work.
Right.
Right? Like you are, because you know that you're connected to that feeling of rightness.
Absolutely. And it's funny, so similarly, but completely not, when I went through my medical crisis, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I immediately knew that I had to document my journey for the other women that would come behind me.
Right.
And now that I look back and I think about it, like, who does that?
Right.
That was a little kooky.
Right. So maybe your clairaudience to hear the words God, spirit, whomever wasn't there, but it didn't matter. You were spoken to through your intuition, your knowingness.
I knew. I
You
just knew
knew.
that I had to do it.
And we all have that ability to know. This feels right. No, that doesn't feel so right. Then we have to be courageous enough to follow.
Yeah. So how do you know in your knowingness that when you make this leap of faith and you take this step, how do you know that you have certain gifts? Do you know that? Had you known that before?
No. But you, again, follow your intuition and where you're guided. And so when I left my corporate job, I had studied herbal medicine by myself. I was a self-taught herbalist. And after I left, I was like, okay, well, so I'm out of corporate now. Now what am I supposed to do? And I began having dreams of what I was supposed to do. And so the knowingness, okay, so I'm supposed to start studying herbal medicine formally so that I could have a certification in it. And that led me to working with energy. And I just kept going, and then I became a Reiki master, and I just kept going. And now I couldn't even tell you what I do. It is a mixture of everything I've learned and then whatever is channeled through me. But the understanding of energy is so powerful because we are energy, right? We're not just flesh and bones.
Absolutely.
We're energy. So when we begin to understand that, we can make enormous strides in our lives, whether it's health, whether it's career, whether it's love, whatever.
There's so much. So when I spoke with Flory, our mutual friend, I had her on several weeks ago, and I just kept coming up with, well, this happened to me. Well, this happened to me because I absolutely have been studying energy. I know that my mind and my body and my spirit are connected. I've done a lot of personal research into, why do I do what I do? How can I do it better? I just feel that there's more. And the funny, not so funny, funny thing is that I had always known that there was to be more for me. I had always known that I needed to follow my intuition. I had always known some things, and I never really thought about it.
Right.
I just had some intuition, or, I can tell, for example, if one of my children has a problem, I can almost feel that. I have a very strong connection with them. I can look at somebody and get the feeling of who they are. Even more importantly, I've grown to trust my intuitiveness or my knowingness so much
Yes. that
when I'm around someone with negativity, I have to leave.
Yes.
I can't. It's almost like they're sucking the air out of my lungs.
Right. They're taking you out of your center, out of your knowingness through negativity. Because when you're following that knowingness, you can even ask yourself, do I need to do this, which is what I feel I should do, or should I do something else? You get a feeling of inspiration when you're following what feels right, or when you know you need to make that decision. And you get a feeling of not so good with something that you shouldn't be doing. And so that's how you tell. And when you keep following the intuition, as you're talking about, it gets stronger.
So we train
and
it.
Stronger. Yes, or it trains us.
Right.
It kind of trains us to learn to pay attention to it. That was one of the first things Spirit said to me so long ago. Is just start paying attention to your thoughts and your feelings. And they will get stronger and lead you to where you need to be. Because our intuition is speaking to us always, even people who aren't even aware that they're operating on intuition. They are. We're intuitive beings, so we are operating from that place. And if you have to do something or go somewhere or whatever project you're working on or be with somebody, it could be, that if you decide against it, you get a knot in your stomach. You're like, oh no, I know that wouldn't be good. Even if you're afraid to move forward with it, you're afraid. But if you don't do it, there's a sadness. There's a pit in your stomach. It's like I always say, I have more fear about not doing what I came here to do than doing what I came here to do.
Yeah, you don't want to live with that regret. Like, how are you gonna? How do you do that?
Exactly. And I think that too many people do because they're afraid, or they don't have the support,
right?
Or maybe the belief in themselves. And this is the awareness that we need to have, because we weren't created with all these limitations. My new motto, and I'm now operating under living limitless. Mm-hmm. That's my new motto. I'm putting it out everywhere. All the classes I offer, working privately with people, everything I'm doing is now living limitless, coming out of the limitations that have been put upon us. So how do we
train ourselves to let that fear go?
Well, we have to work through it and recognize that, fear is an illusion. So if I'm afraid to do something and I ask myself why, well, what am I afraid of? Is it the fear of failure? Is it the fear of success? Is it the fear that I'm going to be criticized? Is it the fear that no one's going to like it? Okay, who cares? We have to do what's inside of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the fear of success. Mm-hmm. This is a big one. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Because one of the things that we usually talk about is, the power of connection, and when we're really serving those that we work with, we're connecting them with other people that will help them grow in whichever way they want to grow. Mm-hmm. And similarly, I was connected to you. We all have mutual connections. The point is that we all have these certain desires that we want to do more, have more, be more.
We do.
And then we stop ourselves because we're afraid to succeed. How does that even work?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I actually write about this in the section in my book on, okay, how do you deal with your fears, right? You just face them, you delve into them. What am I really afraid of? Is it success or is it failure? And it's usually a combination of both.
Yeah.
For many reasons. There can be insecurity. You could have been told as a child, all right, oh well, only super educated people or certain people get that level of success, right? We ordinary folk don't. So we have to look at what we've been told. We have to look at our ancestral patterns. We have to look at, do we believe enough in ourselves? We have to look at, well, if I do this for me because I have to do it for me and nobody else, then I'm successful. Even if 30% really don't like it, but 60% do.
Yeah.
Because we're doing it because the soul is saying, this is what I have come here to do. And you're not here to be liked by everybody. You're not here to be approved by everybody. But you are here to help those who are connected to whatever it is you're here to do. Now, success can be something like building a business. It can be just loving yourself.
Which so many don't.
So, yes, and self-love is, I just taught a class with Cindy Sansone-Braff here on Long Island called The Power of Self-Love and Soulmate Love. And self-love is our foundational relationship. That's the foundation that needs to be formed, and then we can do anything. Because we're not doing it for anybody else. We're doing it for ourselves, and then as a result, so many will benefit from it.
We are taught, however, I know from the background that I was raised in, that would be selfish.
Yes.
And it's actually not that way at all.
It's not that way
How
at
do
all.
we break that, change the narrative that, you can't pour from an empty cup?
Right. So if we look at self-love as being conceited, it's all about me, I'm here to get, right? If we look at it that way, I need all the attention. If we look at self-love like that, it's not good. It is selfish. But if we're looking at self-love as, I need to just approve of me, I need to be okay with my strengths, embrace my strengths, heal my weaknesses, just be the best version that I can be because I matter in the world. And the more light that I can radiate not only makes me feel good, it helps others, whether I know them or not, because it helps us illuminate the matrix of souls that we're all connected to. That's a very different perception right there.
Yeah.
It's very different. We're only responsible for ourselves.
So how would you say, in your energy practice, that people get from not having self-love, not knowing where they're supposed to be, not knowing their purpose? How are there steps that they're taking to get to the other side? Like, is it first that they have to believe they're entitled to more?
So with that, it's different for everybody because it all depends on what trauma or issues they are overcoming, right? It could be anxiety, it could be depression, it could be childhood issues. And so the first thing is they have to want help. They have to want to know, I can be better. I don't know how to do it, but I can be better, and I want to be better for me because I want a better life. And there's no one going to create the life that I want except me. That's where we start. And then oftentimes I am guided, and everybody's different, but I'm guided to go back into the inner child. We do some inner child work. Sometimes I have to do some rewiring of the brain. This is where the energy skills come in. I've recently been shown that from high-level spirit guides. So how to rewire the brain from negative to positive. I'll give you a quick example. I had a client in the other day, and the issue was joy, not having enough joy in her life. So I said to her, so the joy in your life is what you make it. And I said, so are you giving yourself joy? Are you seeing your life through the lens of joy? And she said, no. I said, so Now you have to start seeing things through the lens of joy. When you plant your flowers, joy. When you cook a meal, joy. When you go out running, joy. And she was like, oh my God. So I had her repeat it over and over and over again until she started to say, the joy in my life is what I make it, what nobody else makes it. So she started to take accountability for the joy in her life by realizing it was all about how she wanted to perceive it, if that makes any sense.
So we're all our own worst enemies?
We can be our own worst enemy
or our greatest advocate.
And I say, choose being your greatest advocate, right? Love yourself with all, one of my memes is, with all my flaws and insecurities, I am still lovable and I am loved. Because none of us are perfect.
Right.
Okay, so loving ourselves has so much to do with accepting who we are as humans, becoming a better version, but also knowing that our spirit is flawless. There's no flaws, there's no insecurities, there's no disease, there's no limitations in the spirit. That's only in the personality.
It's really so amazing when you start to think about it, and when you become, awakened, when all of a sudden the light bulb goes off.
Yes.
And you realize that you can be more and do more and have more, and that you have the power to do it. I think for me, having that power, I find it odd that as women, I don't know what it's like to be a man, but as women, I have found that we will not assert ourselves to the place where we know we need to be to do the things we need to do until our back is against the wall. Because for some reason, we feel guilty about stepping up and not just staying in mediocrity. How does that work into this?
Well, part of that is ancestral patterns. Okay, what our moms and grandmothers did, okay? They served the family, they stayed home, they weren't self-sufficient. And part of that is very old paradigm programming where the feminine was suppressed. So we're coming out of that, the empowerment of the feminine. We're coming out of those old oppressive patterns. And we're doing it. Yes, it's like chipping away at an ice block at times, but we're doing it. We're stepping into our power. We're becoming self-sufficient. We're raising ourselves up, right? Equal pay for equal work. We're breaking glass ceilings.
Yes.
We're doing that as a matter of our worth and even just our own survival, coming out of codependence. And so it's the awareness that those patterns exist in us and deciding, I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
And then starting to take steps.
So
And getting your
first.
tribe and your tribe and your support system. But it comes with a choice first. The awareness and then a choice to want to change it.
How does the universe, the astrological patterns, how does all of this, does it really affect us?
Well, it does. Okay, we all have a different astrological birth chart.
Right.
And depending upon where our planetary placements are, yes, we are absolutely affected by the planets. Okay, so there are some people going through crisis when others are thriving, right? Different story, different life. It has a lot to do with the planetary placements and what we've chosen to heal and become aware of in this lifetime.
So choice first.
Choice first. Now, there's also a choice of the soul, which we as humans really, we didn't, our personalities didn't have any say in that.
Yeah.
But when we were born, right, and the soul said, I'm coming in as...
So the soul chooses The body.
The soul chooses the body, it chooses the gender, it chooses the parents, it chooses the life that it's going to live as
Right.
the perfect life. And the planets that will be coming in and out of our entire life. It chooses that, okay, as the right scenario for awakening, growth, healing, becoming all that you can be. That's why your story is different than mine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have to look at our lives as every opportunity, every story we've been through is perfect for us. Doesn't mean it was pleasant, doesn't mean we liked
Right.
it, but it was perfect for us in this lifetime.
Tell me about what inspired you to put all of your thoughts and feelings into the book. Was it hard? Was it easy?
It was hard because I am typically a very private person.
Mm-hmm.
And as hopefully listeners will read in the preface, I was literally whisked off my couch like on a magic carpet, floated downstairs into my computer room, and started typing for 4 hours. I never considered myself a writer. The best I could do in writing in college, high school, was maybe C+B, you know.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, 4 hours later, I was sitting at my computer and I came out of a trance. I was like in a trance. And I was like, what the heck did I just write? And I was like, oh, this is my journey. And I looked up, I was like, okay, yeah, no, God. Okay, yeah, no. And my body temperature dropped because I knew it was like spirit working through me and
Yeah.
saying, you need to put this out there. It took me 18 years to do it. I had to muster up the courage. Who's going to believe me? Who's going to believe this? And then there's miraculous healings in the last chapter of how I was used as a vessel by God, by Jesus, to heal these people. I don't create the miracle. I'm not that. I'm
Right.
just a vessel for it to happen. If it happens, that's between a person's soul and God, not
Right.
me. I'm just a vessel from where it can happen, and I'm not the only vessel on the planet. But it was hard. And after I wrote it and it went public, I wanted to crawl under a rock. And our friend Flory, I said to her, why did I do this? Why did I do this? And I said, I want to crawl under a rock and hide. And she said, you did it so that others can crawl out from under their rock.
Wow. So you had to.
Again, had to. Inspiration, spiritual guidance. Now, I had free will to say, no, I'm not doing it. But what feeling would that have given me if I had denied it? I would have been so angry with myself.
Yeah.
So you do it, and you find the courage to do it. And then you say, I did it. God asked me, and so now it's out there, and may it help whoever it was help. And I have all 5-star reviews on it. So many people are giving me amazing feedback on what they're learning from reading the book, because there's teachings in there as well.
Yeah. I can't wait to get my hands on it. So tell me about, so in the beginning, you are introduced to all of these things. You pursue them. You get all of these trainings. You know that this is your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You start to get into Reiki. You become a master. Now you're training others to do that. Do you have to have a gift, or do we all have the gift and this is learning how to tap into it?
Well, we all have the gift, but we do need a structured form. Most of us, I'll say 90 to 95% of us, need a structured format from which to learn.
Okay.
There's a small percentage of people on the planet who sort of are born with laying their hands on people. And they can't tell you what they're doing or how they're doing it, but they are, and they're doing healing, energy work. So we do initially to need sort of a structured format, a teaching, a method. And then over time, it sort of becomes your own, because you're tapping into your own innate wisdom of energy and how to use it. the people who come to me are there. Everybody who comes to me has been who comes through word of mouth, and they see the progress. And I don't do the same thing. I can't tell you that I'm doing A, B, C, D each time. I can't tell you that. It's very different with each person.
So you just feel it.
So you feel it, you know it, and when you're highly intuitive and you develop that, open up that intuition, and even the clairaudience where you can hear the word of spirit, or a deceased loved one, right? Or you're tuning into the higher self of somebody sitting in front of you, and they're saying, you know, tell her this or tell her that, help her connect these dots. It just flows. I just allow it in. I get out of the way is what really happens. And just let it flow through me, because it's your higher self that is healing you. I'm really your assistant.
I've never even thought that that was a thing.
Yeah. I'm just the assistant or the vessel, but the truth is we all have the power to heal ourselves. But
So
no
you're
one's
able to open the faucet.
I open the faucet. Right. Because did anybody ever tell you you were a powerful being? That you could heal yourself of anything? I was never told that.
No, that's not commonplace.
It's not commonplace, but that is our truth, our higher truth.
So tell me, give me one story that's not going to wreck the story in the book about how you've helped someone heal themselves without too much information. Like 10,000 foot view. Tell me how that works.
Well, since everybody's so different, like sometimes people are coming to me for like anxiety, depression, PSTD, a cyst on their ovary, breast cancer, all different. The first thing I tell them is that you are going to heal yourself, but you just need some help, and I'm going to hold space for you in a high vibration that you're not attuned to it, but I am. And I'm going to help raise you up. And so they're all like, okay, let's do it. And it can require crying. It can require journaling. It can require a lot of things. If I were to give you an example, my goodness, I mean, there were cysts healed. Okay, by placing my hand somewhere. I actually even helped somebody do this over the phone. I said, place your own hand over that cyst, place the other hand over your heart. And I just had her repeat certain things, okay, removing hurt, removing old anger, and the cyst went away. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but every condition has some sort of emotional or mental root in it.
Yeah.
And once we get to that root, we can do anything. But I mean, there's been some miraculous healings. There's been brain tumors gone. A recent one is there's been a lot of cancerous nodules in the lungs gone. They're all dried up. Now, this particular person is also undergoing some chemotherapy, but everything's gone.
Amazing.
And I love having a doctor scratch his head, wondering how did that happen. So integrative medicine is very important, using both.
So you spoke earlier about herbs. And so before we got started, I was saying that I had to take my glasses off because it creates glare and that I couldn't see. And you started to tell me about herbal medicine, that you can, that there's things that can fix this.
Yes.
Have you seen that, in practice? So you said you got a certification. Is it something that you practice for yourself?
I do. I use all herbal medicine. Yes. I do all herbal medicine to keep my immune system strong. There's herbs out there, immune formulas, echinacea, golden seal, ashwagandha. There's lots of things, right? I take vitamins. I have improved my eyesight using an herb called eyebright. And,
Amazing.
okay, some of these herbs are naturally high in vitamin A, right? Clean the liver, helps the eyesight because the eyes and the liver are connected. So I use herbs for everything. Everything. I'm actually even reducing my cholesterol through herbal medicine.
You are amazing. I am so happy that you're here. I always feel that just straight up joy when I'm in your presence. So that's a beautiful thing, and I thank you for that. If someone wants to read your book,
Mm-hmm.
hold the book up, and can we get it on Amazon?
This book, yes, this book is called The Little Blue Room, Awakening the Soul to Love, Joy, Freedom, and Power. Okay, everything we've been talking about,
Yes.
right? Becoming the love that you are. It can be purchased on Amazon. It can be purchased through my website, paulineraphaela.com. It can be purchased through Balboa Press. And it's an eye-opening read. It will help you to transform your life. It will give you answers. There's certain meditations in here. It will help you to look at your fears, how to overcome them. And it will give you inspiration in the last chapter on the miraculous healings. And we can all be a miraculous healing because we already are.
I can't thank you enough. We're going to put your contact information, of course, in the bottom so people can reach you. I appreciate you coming. I cannot wait to read the book.
Well, I feel joy with you too. You are a beautiful person, and I want to thank you for having me, Christina. And I look forward to doing more.
Same here. So thank you for joining us. The power of connection is absolutely real. We'll see you next time.